Good afternoon, Lynette Oxley here for Tax Shack Tactical TV. We were just going to talk about the printing of cards today, but we got a phone call about an hour ago.
Hi, I'm also here.
Yeah, and welcome, Paul. Sorry. Got a call from about an hour ago informing us about what we're going to talk about now. So they tried, I think the government tried to get us by the amendment bill, and there was such a huge reaction from there. Now it's death by administration. What can you tell us what's happening, Paul? Because it's really scary.
Yeah, you know, it's all part of the same picture.
Thing, yeah.
It's all part of the politics that we're being exposed to at the moment. It's the politics of trying to remove firearm ownership from South Africans. It's the firstly, as you rightly said, this was supposed to be about CFR neglecting to renew their contract with the government printing works. Effectively, the printing of license cards
has ceased.
Stopped on the 30th of September. There have been no new license cards printed. I know there's some confusion about that. There's some obfuscation. There's some people that have noted that on the CFR's inquiry system, it notes that cards were printed on the 4th of October, but they weren't. Those are cards which were only loaded onto which were printed in September, but only loaded onto the CFR's system on the 4th of October. There have been no new cards printed. We have confirmation of that. So that's one part of it. So that looks like, I mean, you don't just forget to renew a contract. No. You know, not something like this. You know, the renewal of the contract should have taken place. It's almost like one of us forgetting to renew our license, and then having our firearm taken away from us, and we get hauled over the coals because we forget a license application. They forgot an entire contract with the government printing works, for God's sakes. Anyway, so half of it, and there are legal steps which we're taking in that regard, and which we'll keep the members apprised with. But something else has heaved itself onto the horizon, as you rightly said. The chairman of the Professional Firearms Training Council was on the phone to me about an hour ago, and this is the industry newsletter that's just been sent out to all the training service providers. He asked that we hold back on the announcement until such time as he'd actually communicated with the members. What this does, what happened last week, is that the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations, which is the government, the statutory body that controls the firearms training, or that controls all training, all trades and occupations training, everything is registered with the council. They're a body of government appointees. They're not electable. So nobody has an insight into this. They're appointed based on, I suppose, who they're connected to by marriage or other corrupt means, as most things in this government seem to be. Anyway, but they are the guys that rule the roost. In terms of which the PFT, the Professional Firearms Trainers Council, is appointed by them to be the quality assurer for the firearms training industry. Now, prior to the PFTC becoming involved, this was a job that fell to SACETA, the Security Services Education and Training Authority, which was a horribly corrupt body. Horribly corrupt. We had people running training schools out of small offices in tower blocks in Pretoria, where the guys would, a would-be security guard would pitch up with an envelope with 2,500 rand in it, spend 5 minutes inside the office and walk out with a training certificate, with targets with holes pushed in with big pens. You know, that sort of stuff. It was a horrible situation. SACETA was completely incapable of keeping the house clean. So we had, and this had national security implications. You then had people running around with firearms primarily for a business purpose, because they seem to cater largely for the for the security industry. You then had people running around with firearms that were completely incapable, completely incompetent with the firearms, and that had engaged in corruption in order to get the competency certificate. So this thing was many years ago. This whole thing was cleared out about 10 years ago by PFTC stepping in and taking on that role as a professional body. And PFTC hasn't been without their own detractors because they cleaned house so rigorously. They ran up against a lot of people who were very upset with them because they'd been making a mint out of printing training certificates, and now suddenly they were out. They were exposed. So the PFTC came in for a bit of flack. SACITA has been trying to get back the contract or the authority to oversee quality control in the training industry, and it looks like they've prevailed. The last week, the QCTO summoned Mac McLaren, the chairman of PFTC, into a meeting, and he was travelling and he couldn't attend the meeting.
It's like short notice of 40 minutes or something.
Something like 48 minutes time. We're having a meeting, dude. You better be there. And he said, "But I'm travelling. I'm on the road in the Eastern Cape. I can't possibly." And what's the agenda? I've got to report back to my board. I've got to get permission from a mandate from my board in order to do anything. I can't do that in the space of time you've given me. And they said, "Well, okay, we've reached the decision in any case. You're out."
Immediate effect, eh?
With immediate effect, SACITA's back in. By the way, SACITA doesn't actually even know that they're back in yet.
Apparently not.
So it's been contrived in a smoke-filled room. Money's probably changed hands or will change hands very soon because that's the way these things work. And bang, PFTC, the entire training industry has been thrown into complete confusion and disarray. If we have to wait for SACITA to provide proficiency certificates, we will wait 9 months for
at least.
The certificates that we give out. The moment a person has been marked and has completed their training, we give a certificate out.
Yeah, we load them onto the
PFTC database, and they get their certificate straight away. This will now take 9 months.
Just think about what it's going to do for the industry. Now you have 9 months that you have to wait for a certificate.
I suppose unless you pay somebody at SACITA.
Absolutely. But
that could also work.
But
why not?
But the story is it's 9 months, then you have another 90 days, and then you have another, then you can apply for your firearms.
90 days, ho.
The
police that have almost extended that to 120 days, and it's 120 working days, so that's like 6 months or something.
So basically what they're trying to do is administer, so they didn't get us.
So this is the point. This whole decision, the decision is PFTC has this morning served urgent interdict papers against against QCTO and against SACITA because this is unprocedural. It falls foul of the PAJA Act. It falls foul of all sorts of other agreements which are in place. I mean, PFTC has a contract that's good until June 2023, I think it is. I think it's
2023.
And that's just been voided with a stroke of the pen, or not even a stroke of the pen. They haven't put it in writing.
No,
they told Mr. Thomas Larter from the CQTA, informed Mac McLaren telephonically, get that it was all over. And they'd already made the decision. Tough, you're out in the cold. We'll make the decisions. We control you. So there we go, guys. You tell me how that reads for you.
If I think about it as a training provider, I can't issue certificates. People can't apply for competency until this is sorted out.
Correct.
So basically, the whole process is stopping right now.
Well. Okay. So no, pending this urgent interdict.
Yeah.
So PFTC has expressed in this urgent interdict. I don't have the court papers yet, but I've got a write-up from PFTC about it. PFTC has expressed that they consider, because this is in violation of PAJA and in violation of their standing contract, that PFTC considers this to be null and void. And they're going to ask the court in the first place to void the contract with SACITA that is supposed to replace PFTC. So there's a bunch of things that have to take place. This stinks, guys. This stinks to high heaven. This is corruption. This is maladministration. This is all those things that we've come to expect from this government.
But it's definitely look, the CFR is not working. So this is just delaying techniques as well for people to actually own firearms.
Exactly. They maybe, who knows, maybe they're trying to save the CFR's moldy old ass by kicking training into touch. Who knows? You know, they're incapable of doing it. But to imagine that this is just by chance.
No, the two things.
You know, if you guys, if you believe this is by chance, there's a bridge I'd like to sell you. This is enemy action. Let's be honest, guys. This doesn't happen by accident. This happens by planning. Mm-hmm. This is that same old firm of
communism type of thing. Push.
Of our government trying to award themselves contracts for stuff at our expense, and which they can't fulfill. Yeah. But they don't care. It's just going to carry on, guys. The best thing that we can do, vote next month. Vote. Please vote.
And tell me...
And support us. Yeah. Support PFTC. I've spoken to the chairman of the Dealers Association just recently. In fact, in the last half an hour. That we're going to get involved as amicus in this action. We have to stand shoulder to shoulder in this. Yeah. We have to all get together and push. We have to demand our rights. We have to demand fair and just administrative action. Yeah. This is not fair and just administrative action.
Actually, my first reaction was just that. Correct. That they're trying to kill us with administration. So they're trying. It's basically going this way and then going
through the front door. They're trying to get through the back door. They're trying to hamstring the administration of the Firearms Control Act. They're trying to place South Africans in danger. They're actively trying to place us in danger. There are no indications that SACITA has cleaned up their act. There is no indications that we aren't going to see another flood of corruption and dishonesty, that firearm licenses aren't, or competency certificates are not going to be, proficiency certificates are not going to be issued willy-nilly to whoever pitches up with the thickest envelope of cash. This is disgusting. We cannot possibly allow this to continue. We will pile in on this.
We'll keep everybody updated.
At the same time, reverting back to what we were supposed to be talking about and what we started talking about, we have a number of actions that we are piling into right now. One is amicus, and another one is the applicant. With regards to specifically the first instance with the CFR's ending of the contract or failing to renew the contract with the government printing works. This is pathetic. I mean, they cannot do that. They cannot be the administrators of a process, of an administrative process, when they refuse to do their job.
But you're being influenced personally, if I'm correct, because you were supposed to, you got your dealer's competency renewed? Or what is competency to trade?
Competency to trade is one of the few cards which are still printed, because as a dealer, I go to a wholesaler and I want to load ammunition. They say to me, "Where's your dealer's competence?" I've got to produce my dealer's competence card. My dealer's competence card expired a year ago. 3 months before it expired, or more than 3 months before it expired, I applied for renewal. I'm fine. I'm good. And in terms of the law, I'm good until such time as they make a decision.
They said it's been granted, but they can't print it.
It can't be printed because it has to be a card. The card hasn't been printed. So where do I sit? I mean, at some stage or another, a wholesaler is going to turn around to me and say to me, "Sorry, I can't accept this. You can't trade." So even though I can, it's going to negatively affect my business. In which case, I'm going to sue CFR again.
So tell me, what is the court cases as the main applicant that GOSA is going to get involved with?
All right. So one of our I can't specifically talk about we'll get involved as an amicus. We will be involved as an amicus on this action of the PFTC. PFTC's already agreed to it. The other party has already agreed not to oppose our application to be amicus in their action. They have a number of licenses outstanding, and we're going to pile into that. But then our action that we're working on, that our legal team is drafting right at the moment, relates to the printing of license cards, which is now ceased and may restart, but with a massive backlog. But more specifically, the fact that this has proven once more that the CFR cannot be allowed to administer this process. In the Act there and in the regulations, there is no definition of what constitutes a license. The Act states that you may not be in possession of a firearm without a license, but it doesn't say what a license actually is. So variously, the police have held that the card is the license. That's their most common thing. They've held that the card is the license.
And the dealers may not hand out weapons on the printout.
Exactly, and they've never actually given any directive to that degree, because that would be unlawful. They know this. But the DFOs have made a big fuss with their dealers and said to them, if you give out a firearm on a printout, A, we won't issue you with a printout from the inquiry system, and B, if you get a printout from the inquiry system, if the dealer gives you a firearm on that basis, we're going to close them down. Of course, that's unlawful, but it's not going to stop them trying.
Apparently, they have released what do you call it?
So just this month, we hear of one of our members, one of our GOSA members, who surrendered a firearm under the amnesty and applied for a new license for that firearm, was granted the license, went to her DFO, and her DFO said to her, oh, here's a printout, go collect the gun at the 13 store.
So
she thought, well, what the hell? She walked downstairs to the 13 store, presented the printout to the clerk at the 13 store, and the clerk at the 13 store happily gave her a gun. And she walked out with it. Now, that they won't allow dealers to do. But, what's good for you is not good for me, eh?
But he'll keep us updated if anything changes. If anybody's got any questions, please put it onto the channel or onto GOSA's Facebook page. And if anything changes in the meantime, we will definitely.
Look, it's going to be a busy run up to Christmas. We have the Firearms Festival happening at the end of this month. We are going to be in court 2 or 3 or 4 times between now and the end of the year. That we know for certain. Guys, we're looking after your interests. We're looking after the entire South Africa's interests.
And come and have support us at the Firearm Festival.
Yeah, if you're in Gauteng,
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Drop by at Wattle Springs. It's going to be a blast.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul.
Great. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you.